The abrupt chime of an unfamiliar notification tone from Harper's phone, slicing through the cozy hum of our evening routine in the living room of our sun-drenched apartment in Austin, Texas, pulled me from the optimistic reverie where I had been envisioning our future weekend hike in the hill country, the device's screen lighting up with a message from someone named Alex that read, "Can't wait for tonight's adventure." Accompanied by a winking emoji, a detail that sent a fleeting shadow across my otherwise bright mood. My name is Tyler, I'm 33 years old, and for the past 6 years, I've been married to Harper, sharing this vibrant two-bedroom space overlooking the bustling streets of downtown Austin, where I work as a project manager for a renewable energy firm, coordinating teams on solar installations across the state, while she pursues her passion as a freelance event planner, organizing spontaneous pop-up gatherings that mirror her restless energy. As I glanced over from the couch, where I sat with a steaming mug of chamomile tea in hand, its herbal aroma mingling with the faint citrus scent of the candle flickering on the coffee table, Harper snatched the phone up with a quick, almost jerky motion, her fingers tapping the screen to dim it before tucking it into her jeans pocket, her spontaneous smile flashing briefly as she said, "Just a client confirming details for a last-minute gig," her eyes darting away from mine for a split second. A micro-movement that barely registered in my optimistic frame of mind, where I still saw our life as a harmonious blend of my structured planning and her impulsive flair. Our everyday life unfolded in a rhythm that felt comforting and full of promise, with mornings beginning in the kitchen bathed in golden sunlight streaming through the large windows, the sizzle of eggs on the stove filling the air with savory warmth as I prepared breakfast, my hands steady on the spatula while Harper breezed in from the bedroom, her hair tousled from sleep, planting a quick kiss on my cheek before grabbing her yoga mat for her early class, her restless energy propelling her out the door with a wave and a laugh that echoed down the hallway lined with photos of our adventures, hiking in Big Bend, dancing at South by Southwest festivals, reminders of the mismatched priorities we had always navigated with what I thought was mutual understanding, my focus on career stability contrasting her craving for novelty. Evenings were a calm domestic haven, with me unwinding by reading industry reports under the soft glow of the desk lamp in our home office, the pages rustling softly as I turned them, while Harper curled up on the armchair across from me, scrolling through her phone, her fingers flying across the screen with that spontaneous vigor, occasionally sharing a funny meme or event idea, her laughter bubbling up like the carbonation in the soda she sipped from a chilled glass, condensation beating on its surface and dripping onto the coaster made from reclaimed wood. But subtle tension began to weave its way into these moments, like the way her phone now buzzed more frequently with notifications from her new social circle, a group of friends she had met at a local art workshop a few months ago, their names popping up in conversations with increasing regularity, her evasive glances when I asked about their plans, her body language shifting slightly as she crossed her legs and leaned back, avoiding direct eye contact, the light from the window casting shadows that accentuated the faint lines of restlessness around her eyes. Internally, a whisper of anxiety stirred in my chest, a self-doubt that questioned if her growing enthusiasm for these outings was just her way of balancing our mismatched priorities, or if my optimism was blinding me to inconsistencies, like the late replies to my texts during the day, her messages arriving hours later with vague excuses about back-to-back meetings, making me rationalize it as her spontaneous nature at play, yet leaving a lingering unease that I pushed aside, focusing instead on the warmth of her hand in mine during our weekly movie nights, the popcorn's buttery scent filling the room as we snuggled under a throw blanket textured with soft fleece. As the days progressed, I noticed small changes in the apartment's layout, the way her keys were now tossed haphazardly on the entry table instead of hung on the hook, the faint perfume of jasmine lingering on her clothes when she returned from quick errands, a scent different from her usual lavender, her restless fidgeting with her necklace during dinner conversations, twisting the chain around her finger as she described her new friends with animated gestures, her voice rising in excitement. That felt genuine but somehow distant. My internal thoughts swirled with attempts to rationalize these shifts, convincing myself that her new social circle was a healthy outlet for her spontaneity, a way to inject variety into our stable life, but questions about our relationship crept in during quiet moments, like when I stood by the window watching the sunset paint the sky in hues of orange and pink, the distant honk of cars below reminding me of Austin's vibrant pulse, wondering if her restlessness was pulling her away from the priorities we had built together. The hook came that evening as I prepared for bed, the bathroom mirror fogged from my shower, when I overheard her laughing softly into the phone from the bedroom, her voice hushed and intimate, ending the call abruptly as I entered, leaving me with a sense that something was amiss, a subtle discord in our harmonious life that I couldn't yet name but felt deep in my optimistic heart. Tyler's initial optimism begins to crack with the introduction of Harper's new social circle and the strange message from Alex, marking the subtle onset of suspicion in their 6-year marriage. Psychologically, this reflects the theme of trust erosion, where mismatched priorities, Tyler's structured stability versus Harper's spontaneous restlessness, create fertile ground for relational drift, often overlooked in early stages as natural differences. Emotionally, Tyler's rationalizations stem from denial, a common defense mechanism to preserve the illusion of harmony, avoiding the anxiety of potential betrayal. Interpersonally, Harper's evasive body language and inconsistencies highlight passive secrecy, signaling emotional detachment that widens the gap. The first warning sign was already here, as many partners dismiss such cues, assuming they're benign. Consequences include gradual emotional isolation, but this event sows seeds for personal growth, prompting Tyler to question assumptions and foster self-awareness. At what moment could everything still be stopped? Did he really not see the signs, or did he choose to ignore them? Harper's car pulling into the driveway well after midnight, its headlights sweeping across the darkened windows of our apartment like searching spotlights, startled me from the light doze I had fallen into on the couch, the clock's glowing digits reading 1:23 a.m., the sound of her key turning in the lock with a hesitant click that amplified the emotional tension already simmering within me, her figure silhouetted in the doorway as she stepped in, carrying the cool night air laced with hints of bonfire smoke and unfamiliar cologne. She closed the door softly behind her, her movements deliberate but restless, kicking off her shoes with a thud that echoed in the quiet space, her face illuminated by the dim hallway light revealing flushed cheeks and a disheveled ponytail, her spontaneous excuse tumbling out as she noticed me sitting up. The group decided to extend the art jam into a late-night bonfire. Time just flew. Her voice light but edged with a defensiveness that made me pause, her hands fidgeting with the hem of her jacket as she avoided my gaze, the fabric rustling under her fingers. I nodded, trying to mask the internal struggle between trust and doubt that had been building since her integration into this new social circle, her evasive answers about the evenings out becoming more frequent, like when I asked about the participants and she waved it off with a laugh, just a mix of creative types. Tyler, you'd find them too chaotic, her body language closing off as she turned to hang her coat, the hanger clinking against the rod in the closet. Emotional tension gripped me during these interactions, fear twisting in my gut like the knot in the throw blanket I clutched, frustration bubbling up at her hidden actions, phone calls taken in the bathroom with the fan whirring to mask her whispers, odd meetings scheduled without prior mention, yet occasional hope flickered when she initiated affection, her arms wrapping around me from behind in the kitchen, her chin resting on my shoulder with a warmth that recalled our early days, the scent of her shampoo mingling with the coffee brewing on the counter. Sensory details sharpened my growing suspicion, the way lights from her phone screen cast a blue glow on her face late at night as she typed furiously under the covers, the soft vibrations buzzing against the mattress, voices from her calls filtering through doors, laughter that sounded too intimate, perfumes clinging to her skin after outings, a mix of sandalwood and vanilla that wasn't hers, her movements quicker, more tactile, fingers drumming on tables with restless energy. One afternoon, as sunlight filtered through the blinds in stripes across the living room floor, I felt the tactile sensation of her forgotten scarf in my hands, its soft wool carrying traces of that same cologne, my mind racing with frustration at the unexplained absence the night before, hope dimming as I rationalized it as a group scent, but doubt persisting like the faint stain on the fabric from some spilled drink. The small shock arrived that weekend, as we shared a lazy brunch on the balcony, the breeze carrying the aroma of fresh-baked muffins from the kitchen, when her phone lit up with a message from Alex again, this time a photo attachment she quickly swiped away, her face paling slightly before she composed herself with a spontaneous quip about work, leaving me staring at the empty plate, crumbs scattering in the wind, a overlooked clue in the form of a tagged location in her recent social media story hinting at a bar I didn't know she frequented, a hint of betrayal that pierced my optimism like a sudden chill. As suspicions grow with Harper's late returns and secretive behaviors, Tyler grapples with mounting evidence like unfamiliar scents and evasive excuses, illustrating the psychological tension between trust and doubt in relationships strained by mismatched priorities. Emotionally, this phase evokes frustration and fear, with Tyler's internal struggle manifesting as hypervigilance, a response rooted in attachment anxiety where hope intermittently tempers despair. Interpersonally, Harper's restless energy and hidden actions exemplify emotional infidelity's buildup, where her new circle provides validation absent in their marriage, fostering resentment. A typical mistake is to think that this is just a phase, as denial prolongs interpersonal harm and delays confrontation. Consequences of ignored betrayal include deepened mistrust and relational fractures, yet it catalyzes personal growth for Tyler, shifting from passive optimism to active inquiry, building resilience through moral reflection on privacy versus truth. Was she looking for love or for validation? Did his behavior push her toward this decision? Would you forgive in his place? The unexpected pop-up of a social media notification on our shared tablet, left open on the kitchen counter amid the clutter of breakfast dishes, revealed a tagged photo of Harper laughing intimately with a man I didn't recognize, his arm casually around her shoulders at what looked like a dimly lit bar, the image's timestamp from 2 nights ago when she claimed to be at a group art session, sending a jolt through my body as I stood there, the morning light glinting off the screen and highlighting the details that pushed me into active investigation. Internal monologue flooded my mind, trust clashing with suspicion as I questioned the moral dilemmas of prying further. Was it right to invade her privacy, or necessary to protect our marriage from these mismatched priorities that seemed to be driving her restlessness? Emotional conflict tightening my chest like the steam rising from my forgotten coffee, the bitter aroma now turning my stomach. I began observing more closely, my movements slowed in the apartment's tense silence, noting how she now logged out of her accounts meticulously, the click of the mouse echoing in the home office, checking her phone discreetly when she showered, the water running as a backdrop to my hesitant swipes, discovering innocuous messages that served as red herrings, like group chats about art supplies that masked deeper connections. Sensory details intensified the suspense, dim light from the screen at night as I scrolled through public profiles, phone notifications chiming softly, the cold glass against my palm, tense silence broken only by my slowed breathing as I pieced together clues, like mutual friends tagging her in stories from events she hadn't mentioned. False leads heightened the drama, such as an innocuous comment from a female friend that seemed flirtatious but turned out platonic, my heart racing in the quiet bedroom, the fans were masking my guilt. The cliffhanger came late one evening, as thunder rumbled outside, rain pattering against the windows, when I delved into her social media activity on my laptop, the blue light straining my eyes, uncovering a private message thread with Alexander, filled with affectionate emojis and plans for secret meetups, a mysterious clue and a shared photo of them at a secluded spot, intensifying the tension as I closed the tab, hands shaking, the air heavy with impending revelation. The discovery of incriminating social media activity represents a pivotal truth moment, shattering Tyler's denial and confirming Harper's betrayal through concrete evidence like intimate messages. Psychologically, this aligns with betrayal trauma theory, inducing shock and moral dilemmas over surveillance, as Tyler weighs ethical invasion against self-protection in a marriage undermined by mismatched priorities. Emotionally, the thunderous storm mirrors inner turmoil, grief, anger, and confusion, amplifying feelings of inadequacy. Interpersonally, red herrings like platonic chats heighten suspense, revealing Harper's spontaneous deception as a pattern of emotional detachment. Many people choose to remain silent at this point, and in vain, as avoidance exacerbates wounds and forfeits resolution. Consequences include trust's complete dissolution, leading to relational collapse, but this revelation fosters personal growth, empowering Tyler to prioritize self-respect and confront vulnerabilities, transforming pain into clarity for healthier boundaries. Is this physical cheating or emotional betrayal? What hurts more, the betrayal or the lies? Would you want to know the truth? Scrolling through Harper's unlocked phone in the quiet of our bedroom, the screen's glow casting shadows on the walls adorned with our wedding photos, I stumbled upon a string of intimate messages with Alexander, confirming her secret outings and betrayal. The words, "Last night was magical, can't wait for more," searing into my mind like the distant siren wailing outside, propelling me into the confrontation as she entered the room, her spontaneous smile fading at my expression. High emotional intensity surged as I held up the phone, my voice trembling with anger and despair. "Harper, who's Alexander, and what are these messages about your adventures?" The words hanging in the air amid pauses thick with silence, her face crumpling, eyes widening in shock before she sank onto the bed, hands trembling as she reached for me, the floorboards creaking under my pacing feet. Dialogue unfolded with raw pauses, her defenses cracking. "It's not what you think, Tyler. He's just a friend from the group," met with my accusations. "Friends don't send hearts and plan secret dates while lying to their husbands." The falling light from the sunset filtering through curtains in golden slants, sounds of traffic outside underscoring the tension. Unexpected twists emerged as she revealed the affair stemmed from our mismatched priorities, her restlessness seeking excitement I couldn't provide. Another layer when she admitted it started innocently but escalated, my internal reflection crystallizing that I could only control my responses, not her choices. The emotional climax built as tears streamed down her face, her pleas interspersed with silences. "We can fix this," but my resolve hardened, realizing the betrayal's depth, the room's objects, a shared vase, her restless fidgeting, symbolizing our fractured bond, leaving me with personal resolve to end it cleanly amid the storm of emotions. The confrontation exposes the raw dynamics of betrayal, with Tyler's accusations met by Harper's defenses, highlighting interpersonal power shifts in a marriage plagued by mismatched priorities. Psychologically, this evokes stages of grief, anger turning to resolve, as Tyler's internal reflection affirms control over his actions, countering Harper's manipulative pleas. Emotionally, the cinematic details like trembling hands and creaking floors intensify despair, underscoring vulnerability and loss. Interpersonally, unexpected twists like the affair's innocent origins reveal secret motives, deepening the sense of deception from her restlessness. Consequences manifest as emotional highs and lows, fracturing the bond irreparably, yet prompting growth through Tyler's assertion of boundaries, shifting from optimism to empowered detachment. Is she a victim of circumstances or the author of the disaster? Why didn't she leave earlier? Did she lie to him or to herself? Should she confess or stay silent? Is telling the truth now honesty or cruelty? Harper's sudden disappearance the next morning, her side of the bed cold and empty, a note on the pillow reading, "Need space to think, don't follow," forced the decision I had been grappling with through the night, the paper's texture rough under my fingers as I assessed the consequences in the quiet apartment, emotional turmoil churning like the coffee swirling in my mug. Internal reflection dominated, weighing the familial impact on our close-knit circle of friends, legal simplicities of no children or shared assets beyond the lease, personal devastation of 6 years unraveling due to mismatched priorities, her spontaneous betrayal leaving me raw but clear-headed. Symbolic actions marked my path, closing the bedroom door with a soft click, sealing off the past, watching the sunrise from the balcony, its warm rays easing tension in my muscles, calm heartbeat steadying as I breathed fresh air scented with morning dew. Sensory details grounded me, the cool railing under my palms, clarity of mind emerging like the lifting fog over the city. Asserting boundaries came as I texted her, "This is over, let's handle the breakup cleanly," feeling strength and freedom surge through me as I packed essentials, stepping out into the vibrant Austin streets, the sun on my skin a promise of renewal. Harper's sudden disappearance with a note forces Tyler's decision for a clean breakup, embodying the consequences of betrayal in assessing emotional, legal, and personal fallout from their mismatched priorities. Psychologically, this phase aligns with post-traumatic growth, where internal reflection dominates, allowing Tyler to process grief through symbolic acts like closing doors, fostering clarity and self-efficacy. Emotionally, the transition from turmoil to calm, muscles relaxing, heartbeat steadying, signals detachment as adaptation, tempering loneliness with liberation. Interpersonally, minimal dialogue enforces boundaries, preventing manipulation and enabling mutual space. Consequences include short-term isolation but long-term freedom from deceit, averting resentment cycles. This catalyzes profound personal growth, as Tyler redefines priorities, embracing independence and resilience, viewing the end not as failure but as empowerment. Can her actions be justified in this situation? Is this weakness or a conscious choice? Who is more responsible for what happened? What would you do right now if you were there? The first sip of coffee alone at a bustling cafe downtown, the rich brew warming my throat as sunlight streamed through the windows, illuminating the steam rising in lazy curls, shocked me with its sense of unburdened freedom, a realization that life post-betrayal held possibilities I hadn't imagined, marking the start of my new chapter 3 months after the clean breakup. Independent habits formed in my new studio apartment, mornings with runs along the river trail, fresh air filling my lungs amid the chirp of birds, hobbies like photography capturing Austin's murals, the camera's click satisfying, friendships deepened over beers with old pals, laughter echoing in patios. Reflection wove through these moments, lessons on trust's fragility from Harper's restlessness, consequences of denial in ignoring mismatched priorities, personal growth in embracing my structured self. Sensory immersion enriched it, sunlight on skin, music from headphones during walks, simple joy in cooking solo meals. With slow pacing, closure arrived, catharsis in journaling by the window, empowerment in confidence gained, hope blooming like the wildflowers in spring, freedom the greatest gift from the pain. Overall, the narrative traces Tyler's evolution from optimism to empowerment amid Harper's betrayal, emphasizing themes of trust's fragility, denial's dangers, betrayal's repercussions, and transformative growth. Key events illustrate how a new social circle exposes marital mismatches, escalating from subtle signs to social media revelations and confrontation, underscoring psychological tension through gaslighting and moral dilemmas. Emotionally, highs of hope give way to despair, then relief, highlighting relatability in vulnerabilities. Interpersonally, Harper's restlessness drives the rift, with consequences like relational dissolution yielding clean closure. Ultimately, personal growth triumphs. Tyler learns vigilance, boundary setting, and self-prioritization, turning pain into catharsis and hope, proving betrayal can forge stronger individuality. Is trust even possible after this?